Michael Bloomberg has officially filed for the 2020 Democratic primary in Arkansas. The billionaire and former New York City mayor has now filed in 2 states. He did the paperwork in Alabama Friday, but he has still not formally announced a presidential run. Here's what Bloomberg said earlier when asked if he's still in the exploratory phase of his campaign.
We're looking at it, yes. But we had to register in Alabama and here because of the time frames. So it doesn't mean we're going to run, but we do that to make sure that we're on the ballot if we do run.
For more on this, let's bring in John Harris. He's the editor-in-chief and co-founder of Politico. Hi, John. Thank you so much for joining us. Very interesting reading your piece in Politico on what Bloomberg needs to do, what you think Bloomberg needs to do to get those centrist Democratic voters on his side. But first, let's start with talking about what implications could Mike Bloomberg entering the race have?
Well, look, his only way forward is if there is chaos. That is, over the next couple of months, really, leading up to the Iowa caucus, New Hampshire primary, that somebody doesn't emerge and that this race remains very fluid. If that does happen, Bloomberg thinks that he is potentially well-positioned to profit from chaos. Say, look, I'm the only person that can unify this party. All aspects of the party, liberals and moderates, are determined to beat President Trump. I've got a chance to do it. Give me the chance. It's something he's wanted, as you know, for literally decades, right. And he sees this as probably his last chance.
In your article in Politico, though, you say, billions of dollars won't guarantee him a place in the Democratic race. Providing a cohesive centrist message would. What exactly do you mean by this? And it's particularly hard, isn't it, to provide a cohesive centrist message, because by the nature of being centrist, sometimes you're not all that inspiring.
Yeah, that's right. You're a little pastel, neither too hot nor too cold. Mm-hmm. But I do think there is a place for in this race for somebody to do what Bill Clinton a generation ago did effectively, and I would say that Barack Obama also did it effectively, which is stand for a set of ideas around which the entire party can rally. One disparity I've noticed in the Democratic race, and it was really the point of that piece the other day that you mentioned, is that on one side, the left, you've got very articulate, forceful spokespeople, Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Bernie Sanders, for a liberal and even a left-wing agenda. Nowhere in the center has there been a similarly forceful voice. Joe Biden looms large as a politician. He's has an impressive record in some ways, but he's not articulate talking about ideas. That's just not how his mind works. So essentially, in this battle of ideas, one side's been off the field.
So you think there's room for Bloomberg to really come into this race and dominate?
To my mind, that's the only way he could do it, is say, look, I've got the ability to stand for something that Americans will find compelling. I don't think in this particular year, when the country is feeling so populist, and that's reflected in so many ways, really in both parties, the idea of like, hey, I'm a billionaire from New York City, I'm a smart guy, I'd enjoy the job, give it to me, that's not compelling. His billions in this context are worth nothing. They're an asset in some ways, but in the way I'm talking about, they're worth nothing. The only thing that matters is ideas that can inspire people. So far, the moderates in this race have not found their voice and to be able to do that.
Have you seen anything in Bloomberg's past as a politician that leads you to believe he will be able to come forward with an inspiring centrist message full of the ideas you talk about?
He's got some assets, which is he doesn't seem to mind breaking China. He's been in the past, and as mayor of New York, and since leaving that office, he's got a voice that doesn't mind taking a stand, including sometimes for controversial measures. He's been forceful on gun control. He's been forceful on climate change and the imperative of making a very ambitious response to that. Mm-hmm. I don't see him as somebody to date who's known as a skilled orator, or who necessarily is the kind of person that causes people to quicken their pulse just listening to a politician. That's a rare gift. I haven't seen evidence that he has it. If he wants to be president, he should try to find it.
Right. All right. Now, of course, Bloomberg is not the only person who's still considering joining the race. Former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick is also reportedly considering a 2020 bid. What more do you know about this?
Look, we're in this period where there's been a lot of press commentary. None of these candidates can win, or they've all got big vulnerabilities against Donald Trump. And in this environment of uncertainty, of fluidity, and quite a lot of media commentary that's critical of the current field, you're naturally going to hear different people. They may get in. You mentioned Deval Patrick. You keep hearing rumors that maybe Senator Hillary Clinton or Secretary Hillary Clinton might try for another shot. Bluntly, I'm skeptical of all this. Historically, the people who win their nominations are those who say early on that they want it and organize around that, mobilize around that. You don't have examples, many of them, of late entrants coming in and seizing an opportunity. So I'm pretty skeptical. The other thing I would point out is that when you take polls of Democrats, are you happy with the current state of the field? They register yes. So it's really more of a chattering class commentary that says these candidates aren't cutting it.
I mean, if these, late entrants think that there aren't moderate candidates that Democrats like, I mean, there's Pete Buttigieg, there's Amy Klobuchar. There are people in that lane already that, voters seem to like. So it's interesting that they think there's such a vacuum there. And what you said about late entrants to the field is very interesting, because thinking, there hasn't really been in history any examples of 11th hour candidates taking the presidential election.
They don't spring to mind. Ross Perot back in 1992, he was kind of came into the race, then dropped out, and then got back in. And so there's definitely been examples of people causing lots of speculation and adding to a sense of drama late in the race. But in terms of winning a major party nomination, the people who do it are very ambitious, very disciplined, and they're early.
How do you think the public impeachment hearings this week will impact the candidates' plans to campaign?
There's no question that it competes for public attention, for news media attention, and really forces the Democratic candidates to talk about Donald Trump when they're trying to be known for their own ideas and plans and make their own voices better known. So in that sense, it's a factor. It's hard to say for sure how it echoes, because I don't think we've ever had equivalent circumstances.
Right. All right. Well, John Harris, editor-in-chief of Politico, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. I enjoy it.